right now. I got all the answers. On Friday, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Dr. Rick, we're going to bury another young man, Jordan Clark, murdered. And when you walked in yesterday for the viewing, there didn't look like a lot of fruit was growing on the trees of this family.
All right.
That's not a judgmental statement, but if I walk across the street and there's no leaves on a tree and I say, man, the vegetation is not growing on that tree, is that the truth or is that a judgmental statement?
Truth.
But look at what's going on. I had lunch yesterday with a prominent industry leader whose industry is just going south fast. Layoffs are happening regular. And although this individual has a walk with the Lord, I never hear this individual or the principals mentioning, let's get together, Chuck, and have corporate prayer. Let's get together, my subsidiary, the presidents of the subsidiaries of this major corporation. Let's pray about the situation.
Right.
Let's pray about some bank notes coming due. Let's pray about this. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that at all.
Right.
At all. You turned on the television last night. Local government officials, life is in chaos. Has a membership at a church, but we don't know if the Lord is alive in his life. But look at what's if my people who are called by my name. The conditions that we're facing are curable right now. They're not insurmountable.
All right.
This is not anything new that we've ever gone through. But now some of us have new weapons and we don't even use them.
All right. All right.
Many of you realize, we have an audience of young men here for the summer. Stand up, guys. All those that are saving our sons. Amen. And one of the things that the staff is cognizant of, which is Reverend Gray and Glenn Ellis, is the fact that we're really teaching some young men how to live for the first time correctly. Right. So it takes a little patience in rebuilding them. I didn't hear a lot of amens to that. Amen. Some of your sons, although they're 40, because you didn't put a lot into them, matter of fact, you put almost nothing into it because you worked all the time. Yes, you went to church, but you didn't teach them anything. So now you're wondering why their lifestyle, their ethos, their work ethic in God is non-existent. It's because we haven't planted a lot of seeds in them. Amen. Real quiet. Give my people what you call by my... See, if we would simply rely on the main thing to be the main thing, we'd change some conditions. Amen. Who is responsible for reading Proverbs 28:14? Okay.
Happy is the man who is always reverent, but he who hardens his heart will fall into calamity.
My translation reads, blessed is the man who always fears the Lord, but he who hardens his heart falls into trouble. We got a couple chairs up here, brother, right there. Welcome. Blessed is the man who always. See, too often times we get into a situational relationship with God. It's almost as if it's how we treat our wife. It's almost we don't want to show her no affection until we want to get our sexual needs met.
All right.
Wait a minute, say that again. It's a situational love. I love him as long as I'm going to get something from him.
Okay.
And I'm going to love him conditionally up to the point that I get it, and then once I get it, I'm going to slide out. I'm going to do it like this. You know how we do this? For those of you that see that, that's black church talk where I want to leave the pew. And that was really broke down by some comedian who said, when you did that, that's supposed to make you invisible. And you know how they do that, Dr. They'll go from the front pew on a crowded Sunday, and then they'll put that finger up and like it morphs them into, and they'll walk past 1,000 people saying, I've heard enough, I don't need enough, therefore I'm leaving. That's how many of us are treating this. Blessed is the man who always. See, guys that sleep through worship really you're not too fearful of the Lord. Guys asleep through giving.
I hear you, man.
Giving.
Yep. All right.
They hold on to that dollar. And that dollar is their lifeline to economic survival and prosperity. And God's grace is making too many of us, allowing too many of us to survive. He's meeting you're eating a minimal three times. You got a meager cot to sleep on, and you think that's living. But see, we have to get beyond surviving and into prospering, and there is a difference.
That's right. Yes, it is.
But we got to, first of all, fear the Lord. There ought to be something that you and I identify with every time we step into the threshold of doing something wrong. We oftentimes know what we're going to do long before we do it.
That's right.
We get up in the morning, almost we're going to premeditate doing exactly the wrong thing. And then there's a spirit segment that says, you know that's not right, Jack. You know it's not right, but that's okay. I'm going to pray and ask God to forgive me. But you wanted what you wanted. Your flesh really out-talked your spirit man.
Yes, right.
Because your spirit man hasn't been fed enough. So you don't always fear the Lord. See, if a young man always feared the Lord, he wouldn't need to leave the house with his weapon or hang out on various corners. Because he knows that his God is going to meet his need. Or if he always feared the Lord, he could lay down, get on his knees and say, Lord, I need you to help my single mother who doesn't have enough to feed her or my siblings and I.
All right.
Always fears the Lord, but he who hardens his heart. Has any of you ever had a hard heart toward the Lord?
Amen.
How so?
But by losing someone I fell in love with like years ago when I was younger.
Good.
And she died of sickle cell, but I thought that was my, my reason for living, falling in love. So I thought.
All right.
So
Amen.
that's why I had an attitude towards God.
I bet about 90% of the room can line up behind that. Some point, we love somebody, and actually we love them more than the Lord. They were our God. They probably weren't our wife, and there was probably multiple girlfriends at the same time. I'm reminded, my mother, when I went on a college weekend visit one time, Draper, she said, I'll be glad when you fall in love, settle down and fall in love. I said, well, Mom, I fall in love every night. I fall in love every night. What's some other examples of a man having a hardened heart? A hardened heart, yes, sir.
I wrestled hard with God so much I was addicted to drugs. And I was questioning why it was me, and I hated God for that.
That's good. That's real talk. Better yet, figuratively, this is going to be Chuck's father, and this is not Chuck right now. He's did his son so wrong, and he allegedly knew God, but you dogged it. You dogged it. You barely fed him. You barely clothed him. You didn't put your arms around him. You didn't tell him you loved him. You didn't kiss his forehead. But you always was at church on time.
All right.
And you advocating God, but he can't see no God in your life. And so he goes through life angry. He says, if that's what living godliness is all about, I don't want no part of it. Yes, sir, Pastor.
I think sometimes for us too, that come from the house of preachers and pastors, we get real upset with God because it seems like our dad and granddad took care of everybody else's family except their own. And preachers get a bad rap, but people really don't look at it. They spend so much time keeping your knucklehead children out of jail. I don't hear nothing.
Yeah.
But I didn't think y'all were going to say nothing. I would have kept it to myself. But we spend so much time keeping other people's families out of trouble that our children grow up resenting God and we become hard, especially us as males, whose dads and grandfathers and stuff, because it seemed like they had time for everybody else's kids. And then on Sunday, we supposed to be this special